Hey guys, welcome to the channel. My name is Stan, and in this one, I want to talk about this mini ITX build I've got right here. This is, I think, finally complete. It's a computer that I've been building for about the last half year now. It's been through many iterations, different forms, and I think it's in the final form, and I really like it. So let's talk about what I did, how we got here, what's in this system, and maybe it'll be an inspiration to you guys if you're looking to build a mini ITX computer as well. So a quick recap here. I started building this mini ITX computer back in March of 2021, this year. 2021's been a really long year. And I had this grand idea of wanting to build a water-cooled computer in this Monument Motif case by Yule Beast. And I had a 3090 with a 5950X and a 280 millimeters radiator strapped to the back of this thing. Needless to say, that was a lot of power and it produced a lot of heat. The GPU was pushing more than 400 watts, CPU more than 100 watts on top of that. So 500 overall watts consumed by the system, going to a 280 millimeter radiator. It worked, but it ran really hot. And between that and the coil line issue, I decided to tear it down and throw that 5950X CPU back into my main rig. It's got another 3090 in there. It's running great now. So I've had some parts left over and I was trying to figure out how to best build this thing or what to do with some of the remaining parts. So as you can see here, we're still using the Monument Motif. This is one of the most unique mini ITX cases in my opinion. It's a single piece of steel. It is very thick steel and it is just bent into this shape, and it's an open air chassis, as you can see. And again, I'll make sure to link all the parts and websites in the description down below. So if you want to take a look at that stuff, feel free to at any point in this video. The case I decided to keep, and the power supply, a 750 watt Corsair Platinum power supply, I kept that as well. And then the carryover of the motherboard is a Asus Crosshair Impact motherboard. So the Crosshair Impact is a mini DTX form factor. It's actually technically not mini ITX, it's DTX because it's a little bit longer than mini ITX. You can see here, it goes all the way to the bottom. Basically a little bit extra on the bottom here, the same thickness as a graphics card. Without the CPU and GPU, I decided to pick up a 5800X CPU, which is the AMD Ryzen 5000 series 8-core processor. I decided that since I've got a main computer, this computer was supposed to be a productivity computer, secondary computer in the house. So it's supposed to do web browsing, Excel spreadsheets, Word, just general stuff that other family members can use. So light gaming maybe, but mainly just regular productivity. That's why the GPU here, or that's why the CPU, I didn't go for anything more than 8 cores. 8 cores is plenty for that kind of stuff, and it clocks relatively high as well. The CPU, or the GPU on the other hand here, this is an EVGA RTX 3060. This right here, this is the short version, so this is a dual fan version. They do have, EVGA does have a triple fan version, and regular graphics cards are quite a bit longer, but it just doesn't fit this case. And the short GPU here, it just ends perfectly right at the end of this case. So that's perfect. Even the Founders Edition 3070, that is a little bit long, so I decided not to go with that. That's why I went with 3060. Ideally, I actually wanted a 3060 Ti. Like everyone else, can't get their hands on any graphics card. I lucked out and picked up the 3060. If I ever do get a 3060 Ti, I might swap that out, but physically or visually, it'll look exactly the same because the 3060 and 3060 Ti are almost identically you know, on the outside. The cooler I've got right here, this is a Noctua NH-D15S Chromax black. So this is an NH-D15 with the S stands for a single fan, or actually I don't know what the S stands for, but it's the single fan version. It's basically the same as the regular NH-D15, but just it doesn't come with the second fan. I could have got the regular one, taken off the fan, or in fact I could have put on a second fan if I really wanted to, but I think the look of this thing looks pretty good with all the aluminum fins exposed, and the black on this NH-D15 S Chromax is amazing. In a separate video, I'll talk a little bit more about the installation, unboxing, and the performance of this CPU fan cooler. If you want to see that video, make sure to subscribe for that. I think it just complements this case so well because, you know, like I said before, I went water cooling with a water block, GPU water block, all this stainless steel tubing. It looked cool, but this case just looks so good with a chunky, huge air CPU cooler because I think it fills out the space really well. You can see here that this case is really small, right? And you've got the cables coming up the back, and you've got a lot of stuff here, like the motherboard, the memory, and the graphics card. But all this volume right here is taken up by this cooler, and if you had a little cooler, it just wouldn't really be balanced. And with such a big cooler hanging off right here, it kind of fills in that gap. So it's really a blocky rectangle square with this cooler here. And the cooler fits perfectly with the memory I've got here. This is Dominator Platinum RGBs from Corsair. The cables here, you can see, are nicely braided. These are the cable mod cables, the mod mesh cables. Again, I'll make sure to link everything in the description below. There's a specific configurator and a link I'll make sure to put down there for the exact cables I use with exact links and everything. But they have the aluminum cable ties in there, or aluminum cable combs, I think that's what they're called. And they're able to hold everything in place, hold its shape. And so you got the 24 pin and the 8 pin for the motherboard, and then I've got a single 8 pin that goes right around the front here. I could have came in from the back here, but since there's really not much to hide it back here, I decided to just come in from the front, short, tidy, neat. Everything's so tight in this, it's just great. So yeah, one last thing is the antenna. If I do decide to use Wi-Fi, there is the Asus antenna magnetically clipped to the back here, but if I choose not to, I can always just push it back down in there. IO wise on the back here, since the motherboard has the integrated IO shield, this looks complete as well. So I've got the IO shield, and then the blacked out IO shield of the 3060 looks great too. So if you're looking to build in the Monument Motif case right here, this is kind of what you could expect if you decide to go with the NH-D15 Chromax Black and a short little graphics card. Certainly if you have a different mini RTX motherboard, your cables might come from the top or just little differences, but overall, you can easily build something like this for not that much money, honestly, because this case, while expensive, it's not absurdly expensive. I think it comes from like 200 or 250 or something. The trick is to get your hands on it before they sell out. They do make batches of them, but they come and go depending on if they're making it at that moment or if, you know, demand or whatnot. So the cases do sell out from time to time. Anyway, this was just a quick little update. Hopefully the final update, and this is the final form of this computer for at least the next year or so until new hardware comes out. You know, I can't resist when new hardware comes out. I'm always going to be looking to update this with the next best, greatest thing, right? As always, if you like this video, you know what to do, and I'll see you guys in the next one.